That's right.
All good? Well, thank you very much, everyone. What a perfect day here in St Kilda. Welcome to Fitzroy Street. It is a really exciting day, and I want to thank everyone for coming, and I especially want to thank Tanya Plibersek, the Deputy Leader of the Labor Party, and our next Deputy Prime Minister for being here today. It's always so special to have Tanya in the electorate, and we're absolutely delighted that she's here today. I also want to acknowledge Martin Foley, the Member for Albert Park and Minister for Equality in the Andrews Labor government, who without Martin's support and advocacy and without the contribution from the Andrews Labor government, this centre wouldn't be built. I also want to acknowledge Neil Farrow, from the candidate for Paran, who has been a great supporter of this centre. And of course, the Pride Centre, all of its members, its board, and all of the affiliate organisations who are going to make this centre everything it needs to be. This centre is about belonging, and it belongs right here in the heart of St Kilda. Each year, when people march down the Pride March, they're going to walk with their heads held high as they see a first-class facility that celebrates them and those they love. And this centre will be filled with love and policy and advocacy and leadership, and we are so pleased to be here today to be celebrating and to be making an announcement to make this vision a reality. And it gives me great pleasure to hand over to the Deputy Leader of the Labor Party, Tanya Plibersek.
Thanks so very much, Josh, for that wonderful introduction. And I also want to pay tribute to Neil Farrow, who's the Labor candidate in the state election for the seat of Paran, and particularly to Martin Foley, who is not just the local member here and the Minister for Equality, but has been a very long-term supporter of equality for LGBTIQ communities. It really is wonderful to have you here today, Martin. And most particularly to the community activists who've joined us this morning, the board members of the Pride Centre, those who are associated with Joy FM, Minus 18 and health services, a range of other community organisations who've all come together to work together to build this exciting project. I'm delighted to be able to say that if Labor is elected at the next federal election, we'll join with local government, state government and community organisations who support this marvellous project for St Kilda. Labor's contribution at a federal level would be $10 million, which would complete the fundraising efforts for this centre. Now, that doesn't... That doesn't mean, of course, that the work here is done, because we know that a project as large as this will continue to need fundraising efforts to keep going, to keep refurbishing and building on success. So I know that the board members of the Pride Centre and all the supporters of Pride Centre will continue their fundraising efforts as well. But Labor's $10 million contribution will mean that the fundraising effort to build the centre is now complete after years of working with local government that's put in the land contribution, the state government that was very quick to make its commitment, and of course the millions of dollars that have been raised by the local community and the gay and lesbian community right across Australia to build what will be an iconic building and an iconic place to gather. I also want to announce today that Labor will also commit $600,000 to help Joy FM move into this new centre, but also upgrade its broadcasting facilities. Joy FM celebrating 25 years, the first and only gay and lesbian community radio station in Australia that continues to attract very high numbers of listeners. We saw, particularly during the marriage equality debate, how important it was to have a place for the GLBTIQ communities to come together, to have their voices heard, but also to reach out to the broader community and make the case for equality, as Joy has been doing for 25 years now. So, All in all, this is a very exciting day, and it shows what can happen when you've got someone like Josh Burns, Labor's candidate for Macnamara, who said as soon as he became a candidate that this was top of his list of priorities to get done, to see federal investment in this exciting project. Josh, congratulations on your campaigning and your success today in winning this $10 million contribution from federal Labor. Well done. It would not have happened without your efforts. So thank you, Josh. And the final point I want to make is this is what can happen if you've got levels of government prepared to work together. You've got a Daniel Andrews Labor government here in Victoria that's all about delivery. We see the difference that the Andrews government has made in the Victorian economy. The Victorian economy is best placed on a number of economic measures of any economy in Australia. Daniel Andrews and his government have been all about delivery, but to really succeed, they need to have a federal partner that's prepared to invest in Victoria. Victoria has been shortchanged by the federal Liberals. Today's an example of what can happen when three levels of government can work together. Thanks. Any questions? I've got to say, it's quite unusual to be applauded during a press conference. It's usually more journalists being mean to me than people clapping, but very nice. I'm going to invite you every time I do a press conference. Any questions?
I'll try not to be too mean, Tanya. What did you make of the model there?
Oh, it's brilliant. I think the model shows how much thought and planning and creativity has gone into this proposal, and there's spaces there that the community can use for meetings, for choir practices, the health services on site, Joy FM, film screenings. You can see how this will be a fantastic place for the GLBTIQ community to gather, but it's going to be a fantastic contribution for the people of St Kilda as well. I can see that there'll be local community meetings happening here all the time. It will really reinvigorate St Kilda, and that's why I noticed we've got a lot of local community supporters who are here today, people who live and work in the local area who want to see this revitalisation that this new facility will contribute.
Just clarifying what you said before, so with that, the $10 million that Labor's promising, that is enough to get the centre built? Absolutely.
That's enough now to see the centre really take off. And that's not the end of it. I'm sure that if you ask the board members of the Pride Centre, they've got big plans for the future too, and we'll all be here at fundraisers supporting the work of the Pride Centre in the future, no doubt. But this is enough for this contribution to well and truly take the final steps towards construction.
Not too far away from a state election here. Can we expect to see you and other federal colleagues doing the rounds in Victoria over the next few weeks?
Well, I don't think my Victorian colleagues need my help. I think they're doing a brilliant job themselves of making the case for a re-election of an Andrews government. They've got some of the best economic indicators in Australia, as I said earlier, but they're also a government that's completely focused on social justice. They've been rebuilding the chaos of the Conservative years, rebuilding a strong health and education system, making some very strong inroads on other issues, including issues around equality, Martin's area, and the environment. So they don't need my help, but anything I can do to help, I'd be very happy to do.
And can I just ask a question on a federal level, the announcement of Brian Owler today for the seat of Bennelong, what does he offer?
Look, I'm delighted to say that Brian Owler, one of Australia's best brain surgeons, has decided to put his hand up for Labor in the seat of Bennelong. Bennelong is a very difficult seat for Labor. We had a fantastic candidate at the last general election, Lyndall Howison did a wonderful job. We had Christina Keneally, a former Premier of New South Wales, stand in a by-election. We didn't manage to win with either of those terrific candidates. So Brian is really taking a big step to put his hand up for the seat of Bennelong. It's a tough seat for Labor. But as one of Australia's best brain surgeons, we know that Brian has insights into what's happened to our health system under the Liberals that he wants to share with the Australian community. I'm very pleased that he's put his hand up, and I'm very pleased I'll be campaigning with him.
You said it's a tough seat. Is it winnable?
Well, we never write anything off. You know, we are optimists. We live in hope. And I can tell you Brian will be working very hard to make the case for the election of a Labor government so that we can restore our health system here in Australia. and he'll be working with the Labor team to focus on education, the environment, and the other issues that are important to him. Thanks. We might call it a day. Thank you very much.
Lovely.